Good morning. Today we're going to talk about what we at Selligent think is the biggest challenge that we all have. And in a nutshell, the problem is us. And I'm going to try to explain the logic of that and a little bit about what we think you need to do to get past the challenge of the entitled consumer. But before I get all definitional and logical, I want to talk about breakfast because it's the morning. So this is breakfast cereal. I really like breakfast cereal. I like breakfast cereal because I ate a lot of breakfast cereal as a child. My mother worked, my father worked. There wasn't a lot of time. It was always a rush in the morning to get everyone off to school and my folks off to work. So there was a lot of cereal. I was the good kid, so more power to me, and which meant I ate cereal without sugar. My sister was a loudmouth brat, and so she got sugared cereal because that was the only way to shut her up in the mornings. But cereal was always something that we did, maybe not on the weekends, but during the week. And then I went off to university, and I didn't have any money, I didn't have a proper kitchen, I didn't have any time, or at least I didn't think I had any time because I would wake up at 11 and run off to class. So I ate a lot of cereal. Graduated from university, got a job, didn't pay very much, still didn't know how to cook, still didn't have any money, so I ate more cereal. And that became a big theme for me, was eating cereal. Eventually, I started my own company, and we sort of were trying to trick people into coming to work for this company with no particular prospects. And we said, we'll feed you. And then we realized that that was really expensive, so we gave them cereal because that was cheap and easy, and we'd keep them at their desks. And all that time, there was this kind of, just give them some more cereal, give them some cool cereal, and they'll be okay. So that's cereal for me, but if you think about cereal more broadly, it turns out that cereal is really cool. I live in North London, in East London. If you go to Shoreditch or Camden, you'll find the Serial Killer Cafe. I don't know if any of you have been there. Whoops. Serial Killer Cafe. Serial Killer Cafe is a super hip place where you go to eat cereal. They have 150 different cereals, all kinds of different milk and fruit. And it's meant to be like your family kitchen or your family dining area. And I can prove to you that it's cool by showing you a picture of the two proprietors. These are a couple of twins from Belfast named Gary and Alan Keary, who started the Serial Killer Cafe. And these guys are the poster guys for the millennial generation. Check out the beards, check out the ink, check out the I mean, these guys are hip, and you know wherever they are, you're going to be hipper for being with them, right? So it was important to me, cereal, because it was so convenient and it's cool. Here's the inside of the restaurant. I don't know if you can see that one up in the up. I don't know how many, you're all marketers, so you'll dig this. I don't know how many of you remember Millennials. So Millennials were a great and terrible product idea for Cheerios. So the year, Millennials not referring to millennials, but referring to the millennium. The millennium was coming, and the General Mills people thought, we'll just take out every fourth Cheerio, Cheerios are round, and replace it with a 2, so that you are likely to get 2,000 in your spoon when you eat your Cheerios. And if you go to eBay today, for a very exorbitant price, you can have your own box of Millennials. Probably not the greatest product idea ever, but kind of cool. So with all of that background, there's a problem, which is ready-to-eat breakfast cereal is collapsing. Sales are cratering. How can that be? We're also time-pressed. How can it be that this convenient food is no longer selling? Didn't make any sense when I first thought this. I thought, okay, convenience, that's what everyone wants now. No one's got any time. What do we do? What's the issue? The issue is this. When you eat breakfast cereal, there's a dirty bowl and a dirty spoon at the end, which is work. You have to clean it, dry it, and put it away. When I was a kid, that represented convenience versus having to cook eggs or whatever. To today's generation, it's a pain in the neck. You've got to clean the bowl? Are you kidding me? So what's happening instead is people are eating food bars. You just unwrap and throw away. Every time I give this talk, the younger people in the audience are like, yeah, totally, that totally makes sense. Who would eat cereal? And people of my generation are like, this is ridiculous. What is wrong with these people today? So we have a product that used to be sold on the basis of convenience that is now being rejected because it is insufficiently convenient, right? That is important as a bellwether for what's happening with consumers everywhere. That's why we call people entitled consumers. Entitled means thinking that you should get special privileges or treatments from the brands that you do business with, right? We are all guilty of this. I have conversations irregularly with colleagues about how incredibly annoying it is that the little Uber app, the little car, that often lags 4 or 5 seconds behind where the actual car is. You press a button on your phone and a driver in a car comes to you wherever you are, takes you anywhere you want to go, emails you a receipt, you don't even have to talk to them, and I'm annoyed because there's a 4-second lag on my app. Sometimes, not even all the time. We all want and expect more, and whatever category you're in, we expect the service and convenience of the best provider that you have regardless of category, and it puts everyone in a really difficult spot if you have the misfortune to be a marketer trying to connect with consumers today. Here's some stuff. Almost all customers expect real-time service. This is a 2014 survey in the US. They expect automatic payments and checkout. 80% of people expect same-day delivery, which, given that this is a US survey, is even harder in the US if you think about it than it is in the UK. Half of consumers expect retailers to make suggestions that are relevant to them. And half expect brands to be able to ship them goods before they ask for them. Okay? That is actually very difficult to do. It's an actual business category called anticipatory commerce, where you're ahead of the consumer. The point is less, are we going to do this or are we not going to do this? But this is what people expect. This is what they're imagining that we're all capable of doing. I find it hard sometimes to get different groups within our organization to communicate clearly and effectively about what needs to get done tomorrow, and they're expecting us to read their minds and send them goods before they order them. That's the stakes in the marketplace today, and that's what we've got to do if we're going to be successful engaging consumers. So this is not only a millennial and Gen Z thing, but it is certainly driven by millennials and Gen Z. And the reason is because they have a different view of data and what happens when you share data with brands. So if you think about millennials, their grandparents, right, are completely freaked out by retargeting, display retargeting. I'm looking for a holiday, and then the hotel ads for Rome follow me wherever I go. Grandparents, feels like that's an invasion of privacy. The millennial thinks, yeah, but I already booked the hotel. Why is this happening? They're not worried about the privacy. They're worried about the quality of the infrastructure and the data behind it and saying, this is annoying. Retarget me with something that I need to buy, not something that I just bought. What's wrong with you? It's a totally different view. And specifically interesting about millennials is millennials don't think of themselves as an age cohort, as a segment. They think of themselves as a bunch of people, individuals, and they expect brands to connect with them on that basis. Don't do this annoying thing of the watch cap and the beard. I'm not that person. I'm my own person. And I want you as a brand to connect with me, and they expect that personalized experience. I don't know how many of you know Chipotle. Chipotle is a Mexican fast, quick serve restaurant, very popular in the US. Some, fortunately one near me, in Islington, but they are around London a little bit. Chipotle is, you go in, there's a counter, they say, what do you want? There's a burrito, there's a bowl, there's some tacos, and then they make it for you as you walk down the line. It takes about a minute to have a fully personalized meal, totally fresh. McDonald's is slightly faster, but it's not personalized, right? It's just Big Mac off the counter. McDonald's used to win because they could get you through drive-through in under 60 seconds. That was the goal. They're losing now because people want something that is fast, healthy, which is not reflected here, but healthy, and also personal, what they want. They don't want the sauce, they don't want the sauce, and they don't want that to slow it down. They want the exact thing that they want. So personalized experience wins. People are loyal to their needs. This is me, if I had a ponytail, sitting in the airport lounge realizing that I've forgotten to get something for my kid. And I'm about to get on the plane, and it's a crummy situation, and I am seeking help, right? So what do? I want to get something. And when I want to get something, it turns out that my brand loyalty plummets. So I've gotten an alert from the airline saying your plane's delayed. If there's a hotel chain that says to me, I know your plane's delayed, do you want a good deal on an overnight tonight? And here's something that we can ship to you so it'll be home when you get there for your kid. I'm going to take up that offer, regardless of what my traditional brand preferences are. Because I understand as a marketer that there's a moment of need here and I can capitalize that. All right? So for all the wonderful branding in the world, people are, in the moment, more focused on their needs, and that creates the opportunity to break through all of this stuff. This is an interesting number. Smartphone users, when they start looking, when you're on the go, not at home, not at work, but you're on the go, needs become a lot more important than brand. So what do our entitled consumers want? They want convenience, they want value, and they want relevance, which are three real hard things to deliver, but those are the keys to unlocking the expectations of the entitled consumer. It's made a lot more difficult by a couple of factors. The first thing is we're all overwhelmed with media and messaging, right? Massive amounts of media and messaging are falling on our heads all of the time. Here are the numbers. We've gone from 500 impressions a day right after the First World War to about 10,000 a day now. You understand the difference between signal and noise, right? This means there's a lot of noise. And the more noise there is, the harder it is to find the signal. It has literally driven down our attention spans as human beings. We used to have longer attention spans in a day before all the digital media that we have today. Today, we're working at about 8 seconds. Goldfish go 9, 10 seconds. It's kind of a joke, but it's also really, really, really challenging for us as marketers to connect with people who fundamentally aren't paying attention. And the worst ones of all, once again, are the Gen Zers. Gen Z, younger millennials, have a syndrome or a condition called continuous partial attention, or CPA. And for those of you that know a young person, they will sit with multiple media sources arrayed around them. Maybe streaming something on the big screen, they've got a phone, they might be reading a magazine all at the same time, they might be talking to someone. There could be like 4 or 5 different conversations or pieces of signal coming to them at the same time, and they miraculously know how to attend to all of them. But what they're mostly doing is just screening, like radar or something, just listening to all these inputs simultaneously, which old people like me can't do, and figuring out where there's something that they want to connect with and all that. Because mostly it's just flowing by. But every once in a while, they grab onto something that's interesting to them. That is, again, our opportunity to provide that signal as marketers rather than just more noise. Because if you provide irrelevant messaging to somebody in that mode, they're not even going to look up. It's never going to happen. My favorite short code acronym here, TLDR. This one is also worth knowing. TLDR. TLDR is critical because it means too long didn't read. Send your kid or your young cousin a long message, and this is what you will get back. Too long didn't read. So not only do we have to become signal and not noise, we have to communicate in a form that is digestible, that they can get to quickly, understand the benefit, connect in. But what do we do instead? What we're doing now is we're still in the world of mass communication because it's easier, because we know how it works. It's easier to do one-to-many than one-to-one, for sure. We just sort of close our eyes and pretend that every individual is on the same customer journey, again, because it suits us, because we don't know how else to deal with it. So we build all these journey maps, and we just assume that everyone's marching along the same path. When we know in our own lives that couldn't possibly really be true, and this is just a proxy. This is the best we can do. And we treat generally speaking, everyone the same. We blast out the same emails, we push the same adverts, we do the same social feeds. And we don't talk to people in the moment, right? We don't identify those critical moments of need when they're looking for something, they're looking for some information, or they're looking for a product or service. So our contention is that people actually live in moments, and I'm going to show you this video that Google did.
Do you hear a clicking or a grinding sound when you turn the key?
Video capturing that idea of things happen in moments. Our response to that is that you need something we call consumer first marketing. So consumer first marketing basically is the idea that you flip the way that you traditionally do marketing. So you're going to start with the consumer need. Let me show you. So this is the traditional thing. You start with a channel, then you figure out the message, then you get the data, and then you send that off. You know, you do your email campaign because you're going to do an email campaign, and that's going to help you out, right? So our idea is that you should start with, first of all, having a layer of integrity. The integrity is I'm going to respect the preference of the consumer and treat their data appropriately in a compliant way. Understand and recognize they may only want to hear from me once a week, so I'm only going to talk to them once a week. Or they only want to hear from me on email, so I'm not going to text them. That I'm going to display empathy, connect, and understand where they're coming from, and then I'm going to deliver them relevant messaging. Because that need is what drives me, not the channel. Not the cohort, but the person, and connecting with them. So I work for a software platform. We have some technology that we think makes all of this stuff happen, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. So the idea here is you have a bunch of touch points, digital touch points, analog touch points. There's web, email, social, beacons, print, point of sale, customer service reps, and you want to, and a whole bunch of data sources underneath, right? And you want to be able to communicate with people as though they were not an email address, but actually a person who has all these touch points with the world, and that you're coordinating your approach across those touch points and understanding which ones you should use at which moment, all of which is being drawn off a single database at the bottom, which is ingesting all this information about their transactional history, about their behavior on your website, which provides you with more recent information, about their social activities, about their demographics, all that kind of stuff, and whatever external data sources you have. And what you do with all of that is you're able to build a universal profile of the consumer, which looks at all of those touch points and all of those behaviors, right, and triangulates the person so that you can go in and grab them when you need to. Grab them when you've got something relevant to say, or even not grab them if you don't have anything relevant to say, which is sometimes a good way to maintain a relationship as well. So what we're providing is essentially a scaled marketing automation system that connects with all of these individuals across these touch points, pulls all your data into a very big relational database that enables you to figure out those opportunities to connect and to build individual relationships with individuals at tremendous scale, right? So I'm going to give you some examples of this. one a little bit more simple, one a little bit more complicated, because I want to emphasize in saying all of this that it's not purely aspirational, right? Some of this is where we're all going, I hope, but some of it is very much available to us now. So the first example that I'm going to show you is for Redfin, which is not active here, I don't think, but Redfin is a real estate broker. It's a company that sells houses on behalf of homeowners, right? So it's an estate agent. And Redfin has a problem, which is it's really, 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 really hard to maintain relationships with your estate agent because you just don't do very many transactions, right? You do one every 5 years, every 10 years, every 15 years. And Redfin is kind of a technology-driven estate agent, so they don't have high street offices with all the stuff that you would expect. They do have, of course, agents, but they're trying to do it from a more digital perspective. So they need to maintain these relationships, but they can't spend very much money on that because it might be 9 years before the person wants to do another transaction. So how do you connect with them in a relevant human way using technology at scale, but not spending very much money because you sure don't want to spend the money on it? So what they came up with was this genius idea, I think a genius idea, which is they set up a trigger with all their customers. So once you buy a house, they put a trigger in, and the trigger goes off the first time it snows in your postcode. When it snows in your postcode, the first snow after the transaction closes, data that they can get weather information, and they know where the house is, and they know what the date of purchase was, they send you an email. That email says, "Dear first name, amazing, it snowed on your house for the first time. I hope you took a picture. Isn't that cool? Any problems with the plumbing, with the roof? If so, we can recommend a service provider in your neighborhood, come out and help you." And that's a way of capturing what is for the homeowner a really emotional moment. It's not like having a baby, but it's like there's the snow on the roof. How virginal my house looks. Oh my God, the people who sold me the house remembered that. That's kind of cool. They must sort of connect with me and care about me. It's a small thing. It's super cheap, easy to do, but it's very human, even though it's entirely digital, right? And it takes them an hour to set up the campaign to work that way, maybe slightly longer. But it's an easy-to-do, consumer-first thing, connecting with a small emotional moment in the life of any homeowner, which makes them top of mind and their friends. So the last example is for ING. So ING, giant bank, like all retail banks, trying to connect with people at the core moment when they're in university, going to get a bank account and hopefully stick with that bank account for many decades. So they said, rather than what do people think about bank accounts, they said, what are the problems that young university students in Europe, this is in the continent, have? And the problem they have is they go to summer music festivals, and there's a lot of great things about summer musical festivals, and there's also some really rotten stuff about summer music festivals, and we're going to try to solve that problem. So I'm going to show you this video. Music festival, you've got no place to put your stuff, no way to charge your phone, no clean toilets, parking problems, and ING provides all of that in return for your email address. And the reason they do it is this. They get a big brand uplift, they get lots of email addresses, and they identify themselves as a brand that understands what those summer music festival goers are looking for. And that's good marketing, that's consumer-first marketing, and that's the kind of stuff that we power. So I'm going to leave you with these final thoughts. Less is more. Integrity and respect are primary. Get out of the channel-first approach and into the consumer-first approach. And finally, you don't have to do everything at once. You can start in a simple way. Find triggers, find emotional touch points, use digital scale to engage with all of those folks in a one-to-one fashion, which I promise you will be more effective than trying to engage them in a one-to-many fashion. If you want to learn more about Selligent, we're hanging out here. We'd love to talk to you more about our solution. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.